Hello and welcome to our Grow Cedar Valley webinar today on poll workers recruiting for Blackhawk County and an update on the voting for Blackhawk County. Today we have with us our County Auditor Grant Veeder and our Elections Manager Karen Showalter to share some updates and answer any questions, and then we'll provide contact information when we're done if questions arise after the webinar that you may want to reach out and get some clarification. So thank you both for joining us. I know your world has to be exceptionally busy right now, so the fact that you're willing to take a half hour out of your time to help us with some clarifications and answer some questions, I know will be valuable for our viewers. So first of all, I'll just go and ask each of you, I'm sure there are some either perceptions or misconceptions about what's going on that you'd like to clarify, maybe not, but just give us a general overview of some things that people who, as they approach the next few weeks of voting being open, what needs to be considered. So Grant, let's start with you.
Okay, this has been a really unique year for a lot of things, but this election is very unique, largely because of the number of people who are voting absentee before the election. And so there's been a lot of controversy and misconceptions out there about voting absentee. So we do want people to understand that, first of all, if you received an absentee ballot request form in the mail in Blackhawk County, you probably received several. They're all good. Any one of them is as good as the other. Pick one, send it to us. We will send you a ballot. The questions about the post office being able to deliver things on time, we've addressed those with the local post office and with the Postal Service at the state level. They've assured us that election mail and ballots have their highest priority. And we have seen so far with elections, with absentee balloting starting this week, that the mail has been going through just as we expected it to. So we believe that the Postal Service is trustworthy and it's going to be on time, but we still strongly encourage people to get their ballots back as quickly as possible. They have options with that. If they want to put it in the mail, they can, or they can bring the ballot directly to the courthouse. You can either bring it to our office on the second floor, or you can put it in the drop box outside the entrance to the courthouse, which is a very secure box bolted to the concrete from inside the box with a security camera on it 24 hours a day. Karen's been going out emptying it multiple times a day, and we've already gotten thousands of ballots returned that way. Anything you want to add, Karen?
The other thing I would like to add, there's some misinformation out there, or maybe we just need to do a little bit more education, that any voting happening before Election Day is all absentee voting, whether by mail or in person. I think some folks think when they come to vote in person that ballots are being counted that day, but that's not the case. If you vote by mail or in person before Election Day or at a satellite, that's all absentee voting. We will be able to start opening those absentee ballots on Saturday, October 31st, and they'll be able to start running through our machine Monday, November 2nd. And that is all done by a board, our absentee board, that's made up of both Democrats and Republicans. Our office does not open and count any ballots. That's all done by registered voters within the community.
And let me also follow up on that. Excuse me. There have been some questions about, there's an old rumor that's been around for years that absentee ballots are only counted if the race is close or somebody decides that they should be counted. Those ballots are handled like any other ballot. And in fact, as Karen said, we're going to start processing them the day before the election. And so our goal is to have all of those counted by the time the polls close on Election Day. And typically, the first results that we put out to the public after the polls close are the absentee votes. So those votes are counted just alongside all the other votes, and in fact are available usually earlier than the rest of the votes from the precincts. There was another misconception that I'm sorry, it escapes me now. Maybe I'll think of it later.
Well, I did want to clarify quickly. So I know I've heard, and I believe it's accurate, that if you vote early and your ballot does arrive and you've either not signed the envelope or there's something that has disqualified your ballot, there is still time to connect and cast an accurate ballot. Is that correct?
Yes, and we will let you know. So we received in over 4,000 ballots and back in the mail today. So we're going through those, and I've already seen a couple without a signature. We will be contacting you and letting you know that that ballot is missing the signature and giving you your options for coming in and signing that ballot. So if you don't hear from us, your ballot is just fine. But if something is wrong with that ballot, we will be contacting you so that you can cure that. Also,
And
I would like
go ahead.
I just want to add too, so ballots coming in today and all the way through election day, those ballots, even though we can't start opening them until Saturday, October 31st, I just want to assure folks that those are being locked in a vault that only Grant and I have access to. So just want to make sure that voters know that we're handling those with care and they're locked and secured.
And just for people, if they're making preparations, if you mail in your ballot, it is a postage paid envelope, so they don't have to try to figure out what the postage is and how much it weighs and that kind of thing. It's all ready to go, correct? Yeah, very good. One of the other questions has been, okay, what if I just realized I haven't voted or I haven't registered, excuse me, how do you, from this day moving forward, do you register so that you can vote?
Right.
You can do a couple things. You can go online and register to vote online at sos.iowa.gov. We have folks that are coming to our counter to vote in person. You can do both at the same time.
Okay.
So if you're not registered to vote or you have a change of address, if you're coming to vote in person, we can take care of all of that in a one-stop shop for you and be able to vote the same day. The pre-registration deadline to get registered to vote is October 24th. What that means is if you get registered before that date, I don't need to see a proof of residency document, but if you register after that, I would need to see that.
How about, we're a college town. We have university students and Hawkeye Community College has students that live here that may not reside here year round. How are they able to participate?
So they can do the same thing. They can go online to get registered to vote. If I forgot to mention too, if somebody does not want to get out, we can also mail them a registration form that they can fill out at home and send back. But it would be the same process. So right now we have satellite voting going on at the Unidome, which is going really, really well. That's where a lot of college students are showing up to vote. So they can do the same thing in person. We can get them registered and they can get voted there. And again, they won't need to have any sort of residency document before October 24th.
Okay.
But for all early voting, we still need to see your ID when you're coming to vote in person. So make sure you do have that ID with you.
Also, our topic of our webinar today is recruiting poll workers. And I've figured out that poll watchers and poll workers are different. You want to describe the difference between them, Karen?
Sure. So poll watchers are the folks that are recruited by the individual parties to come and observe what's going on at the polls. Poll workers are hired through the county, who are nonpartisan workers on election day, and they're just working the process to get you registered to vote, to get you a ballot, and to help you cast your ballot. We are sitting really well with poll workers. It has been, if I'm going to find some silver linings this year amidst COVID, I just want to thank the community for stepping up to this challenge. We had over 300 new applications of precinct workers since June. So wow. Thank you. We sent a survey out in June to our current poll workers and just to see who was going to be willing to work. Our current poll workers are typically 65 to 75 years of age. So I was nervous about how many would be available to work or want to work, which I totally understand. And so when we got that survey back, we were only about half of workers were willing to work for the general election. So the response in the community has been amazing. So thank you so much. So we're going to have a lot of new workers out there, which is great. But that also takes a lot of training for first-time people. But we will be doing that. We're already starting that process.
Very good. Very good. Well, good. And congratulations to the Cedar Valley for, like you said, stepping up, because that really is helpful. It helps you probably sleep at night knowing that you're going to have enough people working those polls. So very
And
good.
a lot of younger people getting involved in the process. So I'm just so excited.
Awesome. Very cool. So you did comment a little bit about in receiving the absentee ballots and results and that kind of thing. Any other comments about the uniqueness of this election that will translate into results and how results are reported?
You know, we have the precinct places, the polling places that we've determined for the election. We have a reduced number because of the limitations we have with facilities, some of them not wanting to be used for voting places, and the understanding that we would have to get more newer precinct workers. And so we have 62 precincts in the county. Normally we use 58 polling places. For this election, we'll be using 43. So there will be precincts that will be combined, but the polling places that we're combining are places where there's room for people to be socially distant. And as we did in the primary, when we had a lot fewer polling places open, we will have masks available at the door. All the precinct workers will be using the sanitizer. The hand sanitizer will be available. They'll be cleaning the surfaces. There's plexiglass screens between the voters and the precinct workers at the tables. There will be a precinct worker that will open the door so people won't have to touch the door to enter. So we're taking all the precautions that everybody needs to take during the pandemic.
Wow, good. That's good to know. I didn't realize all of those extra measures were being, it makes sense, but I hadn't really thought that far ahead about it. So thanks for pointing that out.
Could I go back to one other thing when we were talking about the absentee ballots?
Yes.
And sending them back and having concerns about how they're being handled? Everybody that requests an absentee ballot can go to the Secretary of State's website, which is, well, you can Google it and find it.
Google it.
Yeah. And there's a feature on there called Track Your Absentee Ballot. And that will show you when we received your ballot, when we sent it to you, and then when we receive it back from you. And if you look at that and you don't see that something has happened that you think should have happened, you can contact our office and find out what's going on.
About how many days after you've sent it in would you expect that to be posted on the state website?
Pretty quickly. Now,
okay.
We sent out all the ballots on Monday. We had over 29,000, and sorry, Karen's going to have to go deal with a customer, I guess.
That's good.
Anyway, we sent out over 29,000 absentee ballots, and as Karen said, today's Thursday. We sent them out on Monday. We received, what'd you say, about 4,000 in the mail today?
Yes. So we had sent out about 28,000, and we just started receiving them in yesterday, which is a pretty quick turnaround. Again, if people have concerns about the mail, I'm not seeing a concern about the mail. Those all landed in people's mailboxes on Tuesday. We already started receiving some back on Tuesday through our Dropbox, and certainly yesterday. So we have yet to go through all the mail coming in today. We're still processing that, but I would say easily we have between the two almost 6,000 of those back in.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, certainly you've done everything and beyond to make sure that people realize how important it is to vote. So we want to echo that from Grow Cedar Valley. Regardless of who you support, the most important thing is that you vote and take advantage of these measures that have been taken so that you can vote comfortably and safely. I want to thank you, Grant and Karen, for spending time with us. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you want the audience to understand moving forward? The next few weeks are going to go by faster than we know.
I would just like to re-emphasize a couple of things. As far as voter registration goes, if you get that done, if you're a new registrant or you're changing your address, do that by October 24th. That means you will be on the list when you go to the polls, and you will only have to show your photo ID. Another thing, once again, we don't know. We are very confident of the delivery by the Postal Service. But we can't predict what's going to happen in the last days before the election. And so we just strongly encourage everybody that's voting absentee to get their ballot back to us as quickly as they can.
Absolutely. Very good. And then one additional shout out as far as if people have, after thinking about this, after hearing our conversation, they have questions, who and how did they get those questions answered?
I would encourage anybody, if they have any questions at all, we look forward to the opportunity to do more education with voters. So any question you have at all, please call our elections office at 319-833-3007.
Very good. Well, again, thank you both. I know that you'll be hearing from many people in the next few weeks, but we really appreciate all the extra effort that you're going to, again, to make sure that people vote, know how important it is to vote and vote safely. So thanks for joining us today, and we'll look forward maybe to a wrap up after the election, and we can talk about how this all went.
That'd be fun. Well, and thank you, Carrie, very much for giving us this opportunity to get the word out.
Absolutely. It is very important, and we know that. So thanks so much. All right.
Yeah.
Take care. And thank you for joining us, those of you in the audience. And if this is being recorded, if anybody needs to share this information with other coworkers or folks that they know, we're happy to provide that. So thanks again. Bye-bye.